Most people think the biggest mistake they will regret in 5 years will be something dramatic. A wrong career move, a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, a decision that changed everything in one painful moment. But the mistake that usually destroys a person's future is not dramatic at all. It is quiet. It happens in ordinary days. It hides inside harmless choices. It looks like sleeping in one more time, delaying the hard conversation, ignoring your body, spending money to feel better for a moment, staying around people who make weakness feel normal, breaking promises so small that nobody else notices. And because nothing collapses immediately, you convince yourself nothing is being lost. But 5 years is a dangerous amount of time. Long enough for small habits to become identity. Long enough for neglected health to become a warning. Long enough for wasted focus to become regret. Long enough for comfort to quietly replace ambition. Long enough for the person you could have become to feel like a stranger standing far away, asking why you never came. The painful truth is this: your future does not arrive suddenly. It is being assembled right now. In private. In silence. In the decisions you keep calling small. And if you can see the mistake before it becomes your life, you can still change the ending. But first, you have to face the choices that future you may one day wish you had taken seriously. Number 1. Waiting for the perfect time. The first mistake begins with a sentence that feels safe, but quietly delays your entire life. You tell yourself you will begin when the timing is right, when your mind is clearer, when money is better, when the pressure is lower, when people understand you, when you finally feel ready. And for a while, this sounds reasonable. It does not feel like fear. It feels like patience. It feels like wisdom. It feels like you are making a mature decision instead of rushing into something too soon. But beneath that calm explanation is a truth many people avoid. Sometimes, waiting for the perfect time is not planning. It is hiding. It is the mind's way of asking life to remove discomfort before you are willing to grow. It is the quiet hope that one day the door will open without requiring courage, uncertainty, discipline, or sacrifice. But life rarely gives perfect openings. It gives imperfect invitations. And the person who waits too long often does not notice what is happening until years have already passed. Because the danger of waiting is not only lost time. It is lost trust. Every time you delay the thing you know you should begin, your mind learns that your future is optional. Every time you say, "Not yet," you train yourself to believe that action belongs to another version of you. A better version. A stronger version. A future version who somehow appears without today's effort. But that version does not arrive by waiting. That version is built by beginning. The internal conflict is painful because deep down, you know there is something you have been avoiding. You know there is a skill to build, a habit to start, a dream to test, a decision to make, a life to move toward. You may not have every answer, but you know enough to take the first step. And still, something in you hesitates. Not because you do not care, but because beginning makes the dream real. When the dream stays in your imagination, it is perfect. Cannot be criticized. Cannot fail. Cannot disappoint you. But the moment you begin, reality enters. You see your weakness. You meet your limits. You discover that becoming someone new is not romantic every day. It is uncomfortable. And that is why most people prefer preparation over action. They polish the plan. They research more. They talk about what they will do. They imagine the future so clearly that it almost feels like progress. But imagination does not compound. Action does. Imagine a train station at night. A person sits on a bench holding a ticket to a better life. They tell themselves they will board when the weather improves, when the crowd clears, when the fear disappears. Train after train arrives. Train after train leaves. Years pass. The station becomes familiar. The bench becomes comfortable. And eventually, they forget they were never meant to live there. That is what waiting can do. It turns a temporary delay into a permanent address. The transformation begins when you stop asking for the perfect time and start asking for the smallest honest move. Not the grand transformation. Not the flawless routine. Not the dramatic reinvention, just the first train, just the first page, the first workout, the first conversation, the first uncomfortable act of loyalty to your future. Because 5 years from now, you will not regret starting imperfectly. You will regret how long you waited to discover what would have happened if you had simply begun. And once you begin moving, another question appears. Because movement without direction can still lead you somewhere you never meant to go. Number 2, living without a clear direction. Once you stop waiting, the next mistake is not standing still. It is moving through life without knowing what you are actually moving toward. This kind of mistake feels busy. You wake up. You respond to messages. You go to work. You handle responsibilities. You scroll. You sleep. You repeat. From the outside, your life looks active. You are doing things. You are surviving. You are not completely idle. But inside, something feels missing. There is motion, but no meaning. There is effort, but no direction. There are days passing, but no deeper sense that they are building anything important. And this is where many people get trapped. They think exhaustion means progress. They think being busy means they are moving forward. But a person can spend years running in circles and still feel tired enough to believe they have traveled far. The hidden problem is not laziness. It is drift. Drift happens when life makes decisions for you because you never made clear decisions for yourself. Other people's expectations become your schedule. Social media becomes your standard. Your bills become your reason. Your fears become your boundaries. Your habits become your path. And slowly, your life becomes a collection of reactions. You are no longer choosing. You are responding. Responding to pressure. Responding to comparison. Responding to urgency. Responding to whatever feels loudest that day. The internal conflict is that you may want a clear direction, but clarity feels heavy. Because once you choose a direction, you also choose what to stop chasing. You choose what to disappoint. You choose what no longer gets your attention. And that scares people. A vague life feels open. A clear life feels responsible. When you have no direction, you can always tell yourself there is still time to become anything. But when you choose a path, you must face the discipline of becoming something specific. That is why some people secretly prefer confusion. Confusion protects them from commitment. But confusion also steals their years. A ship in the ocean does not need perfect weather to move. But it does need a destination. Without one, even calm waters become dangerous. The waves may be gentle. The sky may be beautiful. The ship may still be floating. But if it has no direction, every mile is a mystery, and every wind becomes the captain. Your life works the same way. If you do not choose a direction, your environment will choose one for you. Your impulses will choose. Your friends will choose. Your distractions will choose. Your pain will choose. And one day, you may wake up with a life that looks familiar but feels foreign, wondering how you ended up so far from the person you wanted to become. The perspective shift is this. Direction does not mean having your entire life figured out. It means giving your energy a target. You do not need to know every step. You need to know what kind of person you are trying to become and what kind of life your current choices are building. A clear direction can be simple. To become disciplined. To become financially stronger. To become healthier. To build a skill. To create something meaningful. To stop living beneath your potential. The direction does not need to impress anyone. It just needs to pull you out of drift. Because once you have direction, decisions become cleaner. Some things become obvious. Some habits lose their disguise. Some people no longer fit. Some comforts become too expensive. Some distractions begin to feel like betrayal. And that clarity can feel painful at first. But it is a clean pain. The pain of waking up. Imagine 5 years from now looking back at this season of your life. Imagine future you seeing that you finally stopped wandering. You chose one direction and started walking. Not perfectly, not loudly, but consistently. That version of you would not care that you were confused at the beginning. They would be grateful that you stopped letting confusion drive. But once direction becomes clear, a harder test appears. Because knowing where you want to go does not mean you will choose it when comfort starts calling your name. If this message is making you think about your own direction, share one honest reflection in the comments. Someone else may read your words and feel less alone in their own turning point. And if you want more reminders that bring you back to growth, subscribing keeps these conversations close when life starts pulling you off course. Number 3. Trading long-term growth for short-term comfort. Once direction is clear, life begins testing whether you truly want the destination or only like the idea of it. This test usually arrives quietly, not as a major temptation, not as a life-changing crisis, but as a small choice between what feels good now and what strengthens you later. You know the moment. You plan to work, but your phone is within reach. You plan to train, but the bed feels warm. You plan to save, but the purchase promises a quick emotional lift. You plan to study, build, create, practice, or improve, but the easier option is right there, asking almost nothing from you. And in that moment, comfort speaks gently. It says, "You deserve a break." It says, "One time will not matter." It says, "You can start again tomorrow." And sometimes comfort is right. Rest is real. Recovery matters. You are not a machine. But the hidden problem is that many people cannot tell the difference between rest that restores them and comfort that slowly weakens them. Rest prepares you to return stronger. Avoidance trains you to return later. And the more you choose avoidance, the more your future becomes a place you keep borrowing from. Every short-term comfort has a hidden price. It may not show up today. It may not punish you immediately. That is what makes it dangerous. The body does not collapse after one skipped workout. The bank account does not fall apart after one careless purchase. The dream does not disappear after one wasted evening. But patterns do not ask for permission before they become your life. They simply repeat until they have evidence. The internal conflict is that long-term growth often feels unrewarding at first. You put in effort, but the result is invisible. You study, but mastery is far away. You exercise, but the mirror does not change overnight. You save money, but freedom still feels distant. You practice discipline, but the old life still pulls at you. Comfort, on the other hand, pays immediately. A scroll gives instant distraction. Food gives instant pleasure. Spending gives instant excitement. Avoidance gives instant relief. This is why the trade is so tempting. You are not choosing between pain and pleasure. You are choosing between quick relief and future respect. That is the perspective shift. Comfort is not free. It is paid for by the future version of you who must live with the consequences. Imagine planting 2 trees. One tree grows slowly. For a long time, it looks unimpressive. You water it, protect it, wait for it. Nothing dramatic happens. But beneath the soil, roots are deepening. Strength is forming in silence. The other tree is fake. It looks beautiful immediately. It requires no patience, no weather, no soil, no waiting. But it will never give shade. It will never bear fruit. It will never grow beyond what it already is. Short-term comfort is often the fake tree. It gives the appearance of satisfaction without the substance of growth. But long-term effort builds something that can eventually carry you. This is commitment. The moment you begin choosing your future over your mood, you become different. Not perfect, different. You stop worshiping how you feel in the moment and start respecting what you are building over time. You learn to ask better questions. Not, "What do I feel like doing?" but, "What will I be grateful I did?" Not, "What removes discomfort right now?" but, "What makes me stronger 5 years from now?" This does not make life easy. It makes life meaningful. Because every time you choose growth over temporary escape, you send a message to yourself. My future matters. My word matters. My direction matters. I am not available for every impulse that wants to rent my attention. And 5 years from now, the difference will be visible. One person will be carrying the weight of repeated comfort. Another will be walking in the freedom created by repeated discipline. Same 5 years. Different trades. But even with discipline, your environment can pull you backward. Because sometimes the greatest threat to your future is not your lack of effort. It is who you become around the wrong people. Number 4. Staying around the wrong people. As momentum begins to build, you start noticing something uncomfortable. Not everyone around you is helping you rise. Some people drain your focus. Some normalize your weakness. Some make your growth feel strange. Some only feel comfortable with the older version of you, the one who complained more, delayed more, dreamed smaller, and did not challenge them by changing. And this is painful because the wrong people are not always obvious enemies. Sometimes they are familiar. Sometimes they are funny. Sometimes they have been around for years. Sometimes they are connected to memories, loyalty, history, and a version of yourself you once needed in order to survive. That is why this mistake is so difficult. You do not always stay because they are good for you. You stay because leaving would force you to outgrow a room where you once belonged. The hidden problem is that people shape your standards more quietly than advice ever could. You may think you are independent. You may think you can handle any environment. You may tell yourself that no one influences you unless you allow it. But human beings are social creatures. We absorb moods. We imitate patterns. We normalize what we repeatedly see. If everyone around you mocks discipline, your discipline will start feeling dramatic. If everyone avoids responsibility, your responsibility will start feeling lonely. If everyone lives for distraction, your focus will start feeling like isolation. And slowly, you begin lowering yourself just enough to remain accepted. That is the cost of the wrong circle. Not always destruction. Sometimes dilution. You become a weaker version of yourself in order to avoid making others uncomfortable. The internal conflict is loyalty. You do not want to think you are better than anyone. You do not want to abandon people. You do not want to be arrogant. You do not want to become cold. And those concerns matter. Growth should not make you cruel. But loyalty to people who keep pulling you away from your future eventually becomes betrayal of yourself. There is a difference between loving people and letting them lead your life. There is a difference between having compassion for someone's struggles and making their limitations your ceiling. The perspective shift is this. Your environment is not just where you spend time. It is what your identity breathes. Imagine trying to light a fire in the rain. You can have the best wood, the strongest spark, the clearest intention. But if the environment keeps soaking everything, you will spend all your energy trying to keep a flame alive that should have been protected. Some people are rain, not because they are evil, but because their mindset, habits, and energy constantly extinguish what you are trying to build. And some people are shelter. They challenge you, remind you, expand you. They do not let you shrink comfortably. They make discipline feel normal, growth feel possible, and responsibility feel honorable. 5 years from now, the people you consistently allowed near your mind will have left fingerprints on your life. The conversations you repeated, the habits you copied, the standards you absorbed, the fears you inherited, the courage you borrowed. This is where momentum becomes environmental. You start protecting your future by becoming selective with access. Not everyone deserves the same closeness. Not every voice deserves the same influence. Not every relationship deserves the power to define your next chapter. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is create distance without hatred. Sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is stop explaining your growth to people committed to misunderstanding it. And as you change your environment, something powerful happens. Your mind gets quieter. Your standards rise. Your excuses lose audience. Your discipline stops feeling like rebellion and starts feeling like identity. You begin to see that becoming successful is not only about adding better habits. It is also about removing the atmosphere that made your old habits feel acceptable. But then comes a more private test. Because even if you change your environment, you still have to face the person you are when nobody is watching. Number 5. Breaking promises to yourself. After the wrong voices become quieter, one voice becomes impossible to ignore. Your own. This is where the next mistake begins. Not in public failure. Not in visible defeat. But in private promises that keep being broken. You say you will wake up early. Then you negotiate. You say you will stop a habit. Then stress gives you permission to return. You say you will focus for 1 hour. Then 10 minutes later, your attention is gone. You say this time will be different. But a few days later, everything looks familiar again. And because nobody sees most of these moments, it is easy to pretend they do not matter. But they matter deeply, because every broken promise becomes evidence. The hidden problem is that self-confidence is not built mainly from thinking positively about yourself. Confidence is built from the memory of keeping your word. It is built from proof, quiet proof, repeated proof, proof that when you say something matters, your actions eventually follow. When you constantly break promises to yourself, you do not simply lose discipline. You lose trust, and when self-trust is damaged, every new beginning becomes heavier. You start with excitement, but underneath it is doubt. You wonder if this is another temporary version of you. You wonder if motivation will vanish again. You wonder if your own words can be believed. That doubt is not weakness. It is memory. Your mind remembers what your emotions try to ignore. This creates a painful internal conflict because you genuinely want change. You are not pretending. You want the better body, the stronger mind, the improved finances, the meaningful work, the disciplined routine, the quiet pride of becoming more. But wanting change is not the same as becoming trustworthy. And that difference hurts, because it means you cannot repair self-respect with one intense decision. You cannot erase years of broken promises with one dramatic plan. You cannot shout your way into discipline. You must rebuild credibility with yourself. The perspective shift is this. The promise does not need to be big to be sacred. In fact, many people fail because they make promises too large for the identity they currently have. They try to become a completely different person overnight, and when they collapse under the weight of that fantasy, they interpret the collapse as proof that they are weak. But the problem was not their desire. It was their strategy. A broken bridge is not repaired by imagining a highway. It is repaired piece by piece, beam by beam, bolt by bolt. Each small repair matters because it makes the next crossing possible. Your self-trust works the same way. One kept promise, then another, not impressive to the world, but powerful to the mind. 10 minutes of work when you said 10. One walk when you said 1. One page when you said 1. One honest no when you used to betray yourself with yes. This is identity transformation. You begin proving that you are no longer a person who only speaks about change. You become a person who collects evidence. And that evidence becomes stronger than emotion. Imagine 5 years from now living with a mind that trusts you. A mind that believes you when you set a goal. A mind that does not need dramatic motivation to begin. A mind that has watched you show up on tired days, uncertain days, lonely days, ordinary days. That kind of self-trust changes everything. You stop needing everyone else to believe in you because you have finally become believable to yourself. But there is still another promise many people break without calling it a promise. The promise to take care of the body that has to carry every dream they are chasing. Number 6. Ignoring your health. After you begin rebuilding self-trust, one truth becomes impossible to avoid. You cannot build a powerful future in a body you keep neglecting. And yet this is one of the most common mistakes people make because the consequences often arrive quietly. At first, ignoring your health seems manageable. You sleep too little, but you still function. You eat poorly, but you still get through the day. You skip movement, but nothing dramatic happens. You live with stress, tension, fatigue, and brain fog for so long that they start feeling normal. You call it being busy. You call it grinding. You call it life. But sometimes what you call normal is actually your body whispering before it has to scream. The hidden problem is that people often treat health as something they can postpone until life becomes easier. They think they will take care of themselves after the deadline, after the stressful season, after the money improves, after success arrives. But your body is not a machine waiting patiently in the background. It is the vehicle of every ambition you have. Your discipline depends on it. Your confidence depends on it. Your emotional stability depends on it. Your focus, creativity, patience, courage, and resilience are all influenced by the condition of the body carrying them. When health declines, your world becomes smaller. Not always immediately, but slowly. A tired body makes discipline feel impossible. A foggy mind makes direction feel confusing. Low energy makes your dreams feel heavier than they are. Poor health turns ordinary responsibilities into battles. And one day you may realize you were not lacking ambition. You were running your life on a body that had been begging for basic respect. The internal conflict is that caring for your health can feel inconvenient. It asks for time. It asks for consistency. It asks you to stop abusing sleep as if tomorrow will always forgive you. It asks you to stop using food, screens, and stress as emotional anesthesia. It asks you to face the fact that your body has been keeping score even when your mind was making excuses. That can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating, because the perspective shift is this. Health is not separate from success. Health is the foundation that decides how much success you can actually carry. Imagine building a beautiful house on a cracked foundation. From the outside, people may admire the design, the windows, the height, the ambition of it. But beneath everything, pressure is building. The structure may stand for a while. It may even look impressive. But eventually, the foundation demands attention. Your life is that house. Your body is the foundation. And 5 years from now, you will either thank yourself for protecting it or regret treating it like an afterthought. This does not mean becoming obsessed. It does not mean chasing perfection. It does not mean turning health into another source of shame. It means respect. Respecting sleep. Respecting movement. Respecting food. Respecting stillness. Respecting the warning signs before they become emergencies. The transformation begins when you stop seeing health as a punishment and start seeing it as loyalty. Every healthy choice becomes a message to your future. I want you to have energy. I want you to have strength. I want you to have a mind clear enough to think, a body strong enough to move, and a life long enough to enjoy what you are building. Imagine waking up 5 years from now with more energy than you have today. Imagine walking into rooms with calm strength. Imagine your body no longer feeling like an obstacle but an ally. Imagine not just chasing success, but having the capacity to live inside it. That is what health gives you. Not just more years, better years, but even with energy, focus, and discipline, another mistake can quietly keep you trapped. Because if you spend more than you learn, you may look alive on the outside while remaining empty in the places that create freedom. Number 7. Spending more than you learn. After health gives you the strength to move, the next question is whether your resources are building your future or simply decorating your present. This mistake is subtle because spending feels visible. Learning often does not. You can see the clothes, the phone, the food, the trips, the upgrades, the lifestyle signals. You can post them, wear them, show them. They provide a quick sense of identity, a temporary feeling that life is moving. But learning is quieter. A book does not clap for you. A course does not instantly change your status. A skill practiced in private does not immediately impress the world. And that is why many people spend more than they learn. They invest in appearance before ability. They upgrade the image before upgrading the person. They consume symbols of success while avoiding the slow work that creates real capacity. The hidden problem is that spending can become emotional storytelling. You buy things not only because you need them, but because they help you feel like someone you have not yet become. The purchase becomes a temporary costume for a future identity. For a moment, you feel improved, but nothing inside you has expanded. No new skill. No deeper wisdom. No stronger earning power. No sharper thinking. No greater discipline. Just a receipt where growth should have been. The internal conflict is understandable. Life is stressful. You want relief. You want beauty. You want proof that your effort is worth something. You want to enjoy your money. And enjoyment is not wrong. But when spending constantly outruns learning, your future becomes underfunded. Not only financially, mentally. You are not feeding the part of you that creates options. That is the perspective shift. The most important investment is not what makes you look successful. It is what makes you more capable. Because capability compounds. A skill can follow you for decades. Knowledge can change the way you see opportunities. Wisdom can prevent expensive mistakes. Financial discipline can buy your time back. Learning can become income, confidence, creativity, independence, and freedom. But consumption usually fades. The thing you bought becomes normal. The excitement wears off. The next desire appears. And the cycle begins again. Imagine two people standing at the beginning of 5 years. One spends to feel better whenever discomfort appears. Their life becomes filled with objects, subscriptions, impulses, and temporary upgrades. From the outside, there may be moments of beauty. But inside, their ability does not grow much. Their options remain narrow. Their confidence depends on what they can display. The other person still enjoys life, but they quietly invest in becoming more valuable. They learn skills, read deeply, study money, practice communication, improve their craft, build judgment, ask better questions, surround themselves with better ideas. At first, the difference is invisible. But 5 years later, one person has things that depreciated. The other has a mind that appreciates. This is personal power beginning to mature. Because when you learn, you become harder to trap. You are less dependent on luck, less controlled by panic, less impressed by surface-level success, less vulnerable to people who use your ignorance against you. You begin to understand systems, money, human behavior, work, health, communication, discipline, yourself. And once you understand more, you choose better. The transformation begins when you ask, before every purchase, is this feeding the person I want to become, or just soothing the person I am afraid to face? That question can save years, can change your bank account, can change your attention, can change your standards. 5 years from now, you will not regret investing in your mind. You will not regret becoming more skilled, more useful, more aware, more capable. But you may regret the money, time, and attention you spent trying to feel successful instead of becoming strong enough to create real success. Still, even learning is not enough. Because knowledge without ownership can become another hiding place. And the final mistake is the one that decides whether everything changes or stays exactly the same. Number 8. Refusing to take responsibility for your life. This final mistake is the most dangerous because it can explain every other mistake and still change nothing. It says, I am this way because of my past. It says, I cannot move because of my situation. It says, people did not support me. It says, the system is unfair. It says, my life would be different if they had not done what they did. And sometimes the words are true. Your past may have been painful. Your situation may be difficult. People may have failed you. Life may have been unfair in ways no motivational sentence can erase. But responsibility is not the same as pretending nothing hurt. Responsibility is deciding that what hurt you does not get to own the rest of you. That is the hidden problem many people never see. They avoid responsibility because they think it means blaming themselves. But responsibility is not about who caused the wound. It is about who will take care of the healing. It is not about denying injustice. It is about refusing to make your future dependent on the apology, permission, or rescue that may never come. The internal conflict is deep because blame can feel protective. Blame gives your pain a target. Blame explains why things are hard. Blame keeps the story emotionally organized. And sometimes blame is justified. But justified blame can still become a prison. You can be right about what happened and still be stuck because you have given your power to the past. That is the hardest truth. Being right does not automatically make you free. The perspective shift is this. The moment you take responsibility, you stop waiting for life to become fair before you begin becoming strong. Imagine a person standing in the ruins of a house after a storm. They did not create the storm. They did not invite the destruction. They did not deserve the loss. But when the sky clears, a question remains. Who will rebuild? They can spend the rest of their life proving the storm was wrong. Or they can pick up the first piece of wood. Rebuilding does not excuse the storm. It honors the life that still remains. Your life is still here. Maybe not untouched. Maybe not easy. Maybe not exactly as you imagined. But still here. And that means there is still power available. The power to choose your next habit. The power to change your environment. The power to repair your health. The power to learn. The power to keep your word. The power to begin even without perfect timing. The power to create direction even after years of drifting. This is where personal power becomes real. Not because everything is in your control, but because you stop surrendering the things that are. A responsible person is not someone who had an easy life. A responsible person is someone who finally says, even if it was not my fault, it is now my life. That sentence can change everything. It brings the pen back to your hand. It removes the audience from your excuses. It makes the mirror honest again. And yes, it can feel heavy at first. But over time, responsibility becomes lighter than resentment. Ownership becomes lighter than helplessness. Action becomes lighter than waiting. 5 years from now, you will meet the result of what you repeatedly chose. Not what you intended. Not what you planned. Not what you blamed. What you chose. And that future meeting will either feel like regret or respect. The difference begins now. Not in a perfect life. Not in ideal conditions. But in the decision to stop living as if your power belongs somewhere else. The biggest mistake you will regret in 5 years is not one single failure. It is abandoning yourself slowly while convincing yourself there is still time. It is waiting when you already know the first step. Drifting when your soul is asking for direction. Choosing comfort so often that discipline starts feeling foreign. Staying around people who make your smaller self feel accepted. Breaking promises until your own words lose weight. Ignoring the body that carries every dream. Spending on temporary feelings while starving your future mind. Blaming life so long that responsibility begins to feel impossible. But regret is not here to destroy you. Regret is a warning from a future you still have time to change. It is the quiet voice saying, please do not make me look back and wonder why you did not begin. The next 5 years are coming whether you choose them or not. The days will pass. The seasons will change. People will grow older. Opportunities will open and close. And the person you become will be shaped less by what you wanted and more by what you repeatedly practiced. So practice becoming proud of yourself. Practice beginning before you are ready. Practice choosing direction over drift. Practice discomfort when it builds you. Practice protecting your environment. Practice keeping promises so small they rebuild your soul. Practice caring for your body like it belongs to someone you love. Practice learning more than you spend. Practice taking responsibility even when life was unfair. You do not need to fix your entire life tonight. Because 5 years from now, you will either thank yourself for the courage you found today, or you will wish you could return to this exact moment and choose differently. Make this the moment your future stops becoming a warning and starts becoming a promise. If this message spoke to you, share the mistake you are choosing to correct before it becomes regret. Your honesty may help someone else wake up in time. And if you want reminders like this on the path to becoming better, stay connected and keep choosing progress one day at a time.